for those of you that don't know, before there was Insight Electronics, there was the memec Group. Founded in 1972 by Dick Skipworth, Dick and his folks built several successful businesses in the UK before coming to the United States and funding the startup of Insight Electronics.
It was 1985 in San Diego, and the four of us were working at Anthem Electronics. It was Bob Allison, Mitch Patridge, Fred Scott, and myself. And we saw the distribution channel consolidating and becoming more and more generic. We wanted to rock the boat and do something different. We sensed a moment of opportunity to start a new company that would focus on leading-edge semiconductors, would gain market share through demand creation, and would allow local employees a high level of responsibility and autonomy. From that spark, Insight Electronics was born in a rented trailer, not more than a mile from our current corporate headquarters. Through a fortunate turn of events, we met Dick Skipworth of memec, who provided the capital, some key supplier relationships, and the trust to help launch our company, Insight Electronics. Nobody thought that the industry really needed another distributor. So we had to be quite scrappy and really fight hard to get the franchises, to get customers to even be willing to talk to us.
Cliff and I were competing on the street. So he wanted me to get off the street and get on his team. And so I was 7 months pregnant with my first child, and he had me interview with his two partners. They hired me, and I had my child, came back after 6 weeks, started with zero backlog, and have grown and have done very well for 15 years.
We were born of very noble roots. We embraced the philosophy we have today, taking innovative suppliers, new products, bringing them into market with startup lines.
So I started with Insight in March of '86. At that point in time, I was looking for a company that I could go and be there for a long time.
At that time, we billed ourselves as the Southwest solution. We had offices in San Diego and Phoenix, but needed to open LA and Orange County to complete our strategy. This resulted in adding 15 people to staff the branches and expand our corporate sports staff. We doubled our asset group with the addition of Geraldine Venverlo and tripled the marketing staff by hiring Dennis Bork and George Goodwin to work alongside Fred Scott. Once Los Angeles and Orange County were established, we expanded the definition of Southwest Solution to include Texas, and we hired David Keir to open our division in Dallas.
My first official day at Insight was January 1st, 1988. I owe my career at Insight to Dennis Bork. I'm thankful to say that he threw my name into the hat, and I was one of the guys that was interviewed and wound up with being selected to be the first employee for Insight Electronics in their easternmost outpost, which was at the time Dallas, Texas.
In Texas, we started doing a database on our own in about 1989, where we could track it without having to write everything manually and keep up with all that paperwork. And various versions of that have grown and later turned into what is now known as Visual Ideas.
1989 through 1993 were very critical years. Our suppliers loved our strategy and wanted us to keep expanding. We recruited Terry Edgar to establish us in Portland and Seattle and left the Southwest solution forever. In 1990, we hired Mike Roletter and Ray Wu to open our branch in San Jose, and we took a major step toward the market presence we enjoy today. At the same time, our founding president, Bob Allison, was negotiating a sale of Insight to a competitor. The memec board and Dick Skipworth did not want to sell the company. Bob ended up resigning, and Dick became acting president and CEO for 2 quarters. He saw the strength of the team and the need for a strategy. And he also understood that for memec to be strong globally, a North American presence was a must. We closed 1990 at $29 million in sales, and Mike Roletter was appointed president in April of 1991.
The first time I met Dick was back in 1990 when the company was going through a lot of changes with regards to the CEO leaving. The CFO had just resigned as well. And Dick came over to run the company for approximately 6 months while he was looking for a CEO replacement. At that time, I had not had the opportunity to really work with him very closely, so it was, with everything going on, it was very exciting but also a very scary time with the company.
This was a difficult time in our company history. Things were very unsettled. We all felt a little bit nervous. We'd even heard rumors that perhaps Insight would be sold out.
So here Dick comes over to be the acting CEO, and he immediately calls a staff meeting together for all of the employees at the corporate office at the time, and we all fit in one conference room. But he basically wanted to get everybody together to reassure us that, we were going to be okay, we were going to get through these changes that we were going through.
So we're in this meeting, we're wondering, what's the news going to be? Is it going to be bad or good? The rumor mill is running rampant. Dick assures us, look, I've got a vision for memec, and that vision is we've got to be a global distributor. We can't be a global distributor without a strong presence in the United States.
That was kind of part of the development of the whole Insight culture, was this family, get the family together, we're all going to work hard, we're all going to get through this, and we will all be part of this successful company that he envisioned. There's some pictures that were very funny to look at again, because we literally had no money to spend on this Christmas party, and it was a time where we really wanted to boost everyone's morale and keep employees really happy. And we had it at this little room down by the beach, and it was Dick's first experience with tequila, so that made it quite fun.
Another event in 1993 was that memec was sold to the Weber Group. At that time, they were a great parent. They had deep pockets and long arms, and they left us alone. Most importantly, they supplied the capital necessary to complete our nationwide expansion, starting in Boston and Chicago.
As I started in 1993, that year, that calendar year, the revenues for the company in total in North America were about 100 million, just over $100 million in sales.
We opened up the Chicago division of Insight in April of 1993. Back then, no one in the Midwest had a clue as to who Insight Electronics was. All of our suppliers made us write a business plan in order to get the local franchise. And the biggest part about the business plan was they wanted to see who we were going to hire, who the field salespeople were going to be. So I started out to interview the field salespeople, and of course their first question was, what lines are you franchised for?
I joined Insight in 1993, and I opened the Huntsville office for them at that time. The goal for the Southeast was if we could get to $500,000 in sales a month, we would be a real player within Insight. Today, looking at the numbers, it appears that the Southeast at the end of this year will finish greater than $87 million in sales for calendar year 2000. I'm really proud of everyone down in that marketplace.
Between 1994 and 1995, we emphasized on expanding our FAE staff and increasing our technical competence, the key to our strategy today. We were the first distributor to employ dedicated Xilinx FAEs, and we also opened memec Design Services, which has since expanded into Insight Design Services for both programmable logic and ASIC design.
I worked with Insight for about 6 months before expanding into any physical branches in Mexico. At that time, we did expand into Guadalajara and then throughout the other Mexico countries. Cities such as Mexico City, Guadalajara.
Certainly the objections in opening a new territory were customers saying that they didn't need another distributor, rep companies saying that they didn't need another distributor. It's been fascinating to watch the progression of that business over the last 5 years, which has grown to close to $150 million this year, and also being #1 in market share in every location and almost every multi-distributed line.
In 1997, Weber Electronics expanded their North American presence and bought Wiley. This resulted in two things. Mike Rohleder left to run Wiley, giving me a very cool job, most days, and we formed a program for servicing global companies called Atlas. Our sales the previous year were $345 million. In 1998, Dick Skipworth retired as CEO of memec, and David Ashworth, who was running Asia, was appointed CEO of memec globally. Also, as suppliers began to realize the memec group as the only global demand creation vehicle, they all wanted to sign us. Since the memec strategy works best with a focus line card, we were given the opportunity to start new companies.
Thank you, PMC.
Intensity, design wins, and man, are we going to sell a lot.
And here's the #1 distributor, Unique.
gonna party like it's 1999.
Yes, that was a golden oldie smash hit from King, and no longer known.
All right, Prince, 99, and that was a great year.
Really got down to that tune.
In further business news today, Arrow Electronics announced yet another record revenue year. CEO George Ray cites their exclusive and innovative practice of demand creation to be responsible for their phenomenal growth and the lack of competition.
Can't believe this. Jeez.
Welcome to Arrow University 2010. We are #1 in electronic distribution because we are #1 in demand creation.
Arrow #1 in demand creation.
Morning, how's everyone doing? Well, I'll tell you what, I'm not doing so great. I just passed Arrow University. Didn't they just have that 2 months ago?
I hear they had to have 2 this year because the stadium just isn't big enough.
I heard it was 3. Let's forget about those guys. How's Insight University coming?
Well, Motel 6 in Des Moines has given us the go-ahead if we'll agree just to put 3 people in the room this year.
Okay. It's a budget stretch. But Insight U has to be special this year. If that's what we have to do, guys, then let's do it.
Motel 6, it's quite a step up from last year.
Ooh, don't remind me, Campground of America just didn't have the right feel.
How about the rest of the budget? Have we figured out the food issue?
I'm working on that.
And the parties?
We're issuing this party kit to each attendee.
How about the pyrotechnics for the opening scene?
Same as last year.
Anyway. Look inside the, let the sound take you away. The jamming local country station, just a blaring on the radio. Pick him up at 7 and they're heading to the rodeo. Mama's on the front porch screaming out her warning, girl, you better get your red head back in bed before the morning. 9 o'clock, the show is in, but the fun is just beginning. She knows he's anticipating, but she's gonna keep him waiting. Grab a bite to eat, and then they're heading to the honky-tonk. Loud crowds and line dancing just ain't what they really want. Drive out through the boondocks and park down by the creek, where it's George Strait and relating, dancing cheek to cheek. Ain't going down till the sun goes